So again, my name is Jabari Brisport, and I'm running in the 35th District. It's also known as the BAM Cultural District. And has Brooklyn left us behind? In parts of my district, yeah, it has. A lot of people have been priced out, especially artists. And a part of it's been done by this technique that was perfected by developers in my district, which is using people like you and people like me, I'm an artist too, as the battering ram of gentrification, where they come with all this glitz and glamour about all the amazing artistic spaces they're gonna build, and then very quietly sneak all these luxury condos in. You guys know Theater for a New Audience? It's lovely, right? The lovely space? Okay, what you might not know is that it was redeveloped or redesigned or rebuilt, refurbished by Jonathan Rose Companies. And Jonathan Rose Companies is a darling of the arts. They do so much for culture, and they're green, and everyone loves them. But after they got their permit to develop Theater for a New Audience in 2013, 2 years later, they go down the block and they purchase 15 Lafayette Avenue for $1, and they do it on the promise of affordable housing and thousands of square feet of cultural space and tons of partnerships with Mark Morris. And it sounds great for artists until you look at the rents, because the majority are way out of price. They're market rates, so basically condos, they're unaffordable. And of the parts that are affordable, half are earmarked to 130% of AMI. If you don't know what that means, it means it's affordable if you're making $80,000 a year. Does any artist in this room make $80,000 a year? Did any artist make $80,000 in the past 2 years? Call me crazy, but I think that developers that wrap themselves up in the arts Excuse me, I thought that was it. I think if you wrap yourself up in the arts for good public relations, you should build homes that artists can afford to live in. So yeah, I'm an artist, and like Edward, I did a little improv, so I say yes and to your platform, and I say yes to designating cultural zones within the city, and in districts like mine that are high and very dense in culture, mandatory inclusionary housing for artists when we're building affordable housing. Thank you.
Raise your hands if you are willing to be a co-sponsor to Ben Kalis's City Spaces initiative to create a searchable database of unused or underutilized city-owned spaces. You will clearly and visibly list your stances on issues facing indie theater and the performing arts in your campaign's website and literature. Sure. Thank you. We'd appreciate it if you actually use the term indie theater too. You support the commission of a comprehensive impact study for independent theaters similar to the one recently published by the University of Pittsburgh on culture and arts impact on New York City neighborhoods.
Yes.
And read that study. You support campaign finance reform and getting big money out of political campaigns at all levels.
Yes.
You support adding indie theater artists to the qualifications to get approval for affordable housing. You support helping indie artists find ways to purchase affordable places to live. You support expanding the theater sub-district fund to include arts organizations with budgets below $250,000 a year. And you promise to see at least 3 indie theater productions before the elections, including, but not limited to, my production of Martin Denton here in this space, July 6th through the 23rd, 7 p.m. Tickets are $20 or $25.
Are they going to be on TV?
So hi, I'm Jabari again, and so first question is how we get more tourists to see independent theater, and what I would love to see is a partnership with the Broadway Playbills, where we get a full spread that says, here's the independent theater scene. I think it should link to the LIT site, and I think you guys should have a full calendar of what's going on in the independent theater scene throughout New York, and I think that's a great partnership, and I think rather than paying marketing fees, it should be free, and we'll know it's free because we'll get the economic impact statement of independent theater and how much it brings into New York City. Thanks. Second question, how do we get more indie centers? We've all heard the term income inequality, but I'd like to talk to you about artistic inequality. Brooklyn received $12 million in cultural funding last year. Over $9 million of that went to my district. One district in Brooklyn. That's a lot, and we need to share. I'm not even going to mince around it. We need to share. And, a lot of that is because of we have so many of the cultural institution groups there with BAM and Brooklyn Museum and the Brooklyn Library. But if the definition of cultural institute group leads to artistic inequality, then we need to go to number 9 on your platform, which means we need to redefine what is a cultural institution group and include independent theater. And that means independent theaters like Jack, which is in Clinton Hill. It's a fantastic little independent theater, and I think it's one of the newest additions to the League of Independent Theaters because it sent to me your platforms, and so you're building out in Brooklyn now. You're welcome. I think organizations like that can start to build once they get more funding. And thanks. So again, Jabari Brisport, 35th District, and I know I said already I'm an artist. What I haven't told you yet is I love political theater. I've been working on it for 10 years, and probably the first piece I ever made was a spoken word piece about same-sex marriage and how awful it is to not be able to visit the person you love in a hospital. And I did it all over NYU when I went there for undergrad, and I even took it back to my high school, and I did it there, coupled with a speech about being in the closet as a high school student. And months later, a high school student Facebook messaged me and told me that speech and that performance gave him the courage to come out of the closet. And that's what I think is so important about theater, is that we shine so goddamn bright that we ignite the people around us. And over the next 4 years, when we have a fascist in the White House, can you guys agree to shine brighter? When people are threatening to cut funding for the NEA, can you agree to shine brighter? Okay, so if you want to get in contact with me, what you can do is you can come to our campaign launch party tomorrow. It is at Art Cafe and Bar in Brooklyn. And there's flyers outside. I'll see you there.